All right. Excuse me if I told the story. I know I told it, but I don't remember if I told it to you. The Baal Shem Tov, on the night of Passover, was sitting with his pupils, and he, in the middle, he sort of looked with a sort of how do you say, a displeasure, like this. Afterwards, he looked again in a little bit of displeasure, like this. And finally, in the end, right near the end, he stood up and he started to dance with his wife. I think I told you the story, but I'll tell it again. Okay. He stood up and he started to dance. He danced, and all the pupils danced, and they danced, and they danced. And afterwards, he says, I want to tell you what happened. He said, far away in some village, there's an old man and his wife, and they're making this Passover night. And in Passover night, we relate the whole story of the Jews being in Egypt and suffering, and then all of a sudden there were the big miracles, and God took us out of Egypt. And it's a happy time. Everybody's but sitting far away in this other village, hundreds of miles away, there's an old man and his wife. And this woman said to her husband, as soon as he started saying the Haggadah, the story of Passover, she said, my husband, she said, listen, I don't understand God. I think he was really wrong over here. I think he was really, really wrong. Husband said, you're not supposed to talk against God. You can't do things like that. I said, what do you mean? Here he put the Jewish people into exile. They didn't do anything. What? And they suffered over there for 210 years. They did absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, he's supposed to be kind. God's supposed to be kind. What did he do that for? Just said that we should take us out. What are we celebrating here for? Why was there the problems in the first place? Why couldn't? She said, no, you shouldn't say things like that. So she said, oh, okay, all right. I guess, everybody got along these years, 3,000 years since we left it. Nobody, other rabbis must have asked the question, but to me, it doesn't seem right. Okay, I'll continue. We continue. So he continues in the Haggadah of Passover. Haggadah of Passover, and then comes to the next bit of sad. He drinks the second cup. They're in the middle of the meal, and she says to her husband, listen, I've been thinking about it, and the more I think about it, the more I think that I'm right. God is definitely not right here. There's no reason why we should celebrate this whole business, that God made all these troubles for the Jews and all the problems for absolutely no reason, and the Egyptians made so much trouble for them. Who cares about the miracles? Don't make troubles in the first place. Her husband says, no, you shouldn't say things like that. It's not right. This is okay. So they finish the meal, and her husband says, you know what? You got a good point. Maybe you're right. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. And she says to her husband, listen, I changed my mind. I think whatever God does is good, and that God is right no matter what. I agree with you, you agree with me. Both of us agree with the same thing. The trouble should stop, and we have to bring Mashiach now, and we can only do that if we're happy. And they stood up and they danced. And the Baal Shem Tov said, oh, and that's why he stood up and he danced at the end of the meal, because the husband and wife, both of them were right. There's too much troubles and too much problems. But on the other hand, God knows what he's doing. And the way we're going to get out of it is by being happy. Have a good day with Mashiach now. And God willing, tomorrow, I'll tell you the story about Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berdichev's amazing Seder Passover.